Did you know that there are over 1 billion people on the planet right now with a formal mental health diagnosis? And in fact, 20% of adult Americans and 75% of American youth have a mental health diagnosis by the time they're 25. Clearly, we've got issues. And one of the things that people don't like to talk about, especially therapists like me, is that part of the reason we have these high rates of mental health issues is that there's a 50% relapse rate for disorders like depression and anxiety. What that means is that after a year of treatment, most people who were successfully treated end up with the same symptoms a year later. So clearly, something we're doing is not working. My name is Dr. Diane Gehart, and I have been a psychotherapist for over 30 years. I have been a professor for psychotherapy for about the same length of time, and I've written numerous books in the field and done research on what really works to create sustained change. And so today I am going to share with you some of the top secrets that even the best clinicians and therapists out there probably haven't shared with you. You've probably heard the saying that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And we're going with that because the honest to God truth is that most of us can maintain our mental health with just simple life habits, 5 minutes a day or less, which saves us hours and hours and hours of psychotherapy, depression, anxiety, misery, and lots of money of getting out of a dark mental health hole. So what we're going to learn today is how to use some of these 5-minute mental health hacks on a daily basis to really maintain your mental health. You can use this whether or not you're in treatment right now, and certainly if you're not or you have been in treatment, you definitely want to put some of these practices into place because it is stunning. It is absolutely jaw-dropping how these simple interventions, 1 to 5 minutes a day, can truly transform the trajectory of your lifelong mental health. So I'm going to go ahead and let's get started. So for step one, I want you to think of a healthy mental health habit that you can do in 5 minutes a day or less. Now, you can do more, but I want something that's relatively time limited. So here are some of my suggestions. Mindfulness is a great one, just focusing on your breath, quieting your inner chatter, or some form of guided meditation. Certainly a 5-minute mental health hack that really has tons of research, including brain research, on how helpful it is for maintaining your mental health. Another one is gratitude journaling. Again, a mountain of research. This involves listing out all the things you're thankful for. And I strongly suggest once you're done with your list, find 5 more, make it stressful, and you'll be surprised at how this cultivates and actually activates a part of your brain called the amygdala to look for positive things to be grateful for in the days ahead. So gratitude journaling is certainly a top one. You can also use just journaling. General journaling can be a great exercise for a lot of people. There are many people who like to do prayer or inspirational readings. You can do that in 5 minutes a day or less. You can also just turn on your favorite dance music and dance around the room for 5 minutes. It is extremely powerful and uplifting and fun. You can also either play music yourself on an instrument. You can also play music and sing along. Again, there's actually surprising research about how good singing is for our mental health. So music and singing, again, very powerful. Or just even doing simple exercises like I am a total fan of counter push-ups, counter exercise. You can do a 5-minute exercise routine in the kitchen, and while you're waiting for water to boil or while dinner's simmering. And just even the physical strength, physical exercise. So pick something along these lines, something that really works for you, has worked for you in the past, ideally, something you know how to do and that you can commit to. And so that is step one, is to figure out what type of mental health habit can you kind of commit to do. Now, step two is to pair this with something you do every day. And for many of us, this is our morning cup of coffee or tea or breakfast, or it could be your exercise routine. Ideally, research shows that most of us can be most committed to a new habit in the morning. Although I have definitely worked with people where they're not morning people, they're struggling to get out, they go to work or school, but when they come home, that's when they have 4 or 5 hours. If you don't have a lot of family or partner obligations, you generally, that's your free time. You might be able to pair it with something that you do every evening, but you want to find something you do every day for at least 5 days a week where you can add 5 minutes onto that task. So the idea here is, let's say, you want to do 5 minutes of mindfulness, and you're like, I tend to be more consistent in my morning routine. So what I would do is either while your coffee is brewing or right after breakfast, you're going to sit down and do your 5 minutes of mindfulness or meditation. Um, and you're going to set an alarm to remind yourself to do this every day. And similarly, if you wanted to do this at night, I would highly recommend you not pair it with sleep time, because most of us get sleepy. And if you're tired at night, you're less likely to follow through, because one of the keys is you've got to do this every single day, no matter what. So either upon coming home, either right before maybe dinner or right after dinner, or some other part in your evening routine, ideally earlier than later. For most people, you can experiment, see what works for you. I'm just telling you, I've done this with hundreds of people, and I got feedback on what works and what doesn't. So, but find a time that works for you where you can be consistent with it, and then set an alarm on your phone or your smartwatch or your smart device at home that talks to you, whatever it is. Find a way to have some digital device nag you to remember to do this. Now, the third step is the most important and the most counterintuitive. And this is very, very important. It is the key to your success and to making this work. You need to find what I call a placeholder goal for whatever your 5 minute, wellness habit that you were cultivating is. I want you to find a 30 to 60 version, maybe even a 5-second version. But you're going to have a micro version. So on those days where you're like, I'm too exhausted, I'm too busy, I'm too overwhelmed, I'm in crisis, whatever it is, you need to have a placeholder goal. So even on your worst, most horrific day, you're sick, there's crisis, you're like totally not in a good place, you are still going to do 30 to 60 seconds, maybe 5 seconds. I don't care. You're going to do something as a placeholder when you can't even get the 5 minutes in. And so what this does is very, very powerful. It creates this consistency, this momentum, this keeping your promise to yourself, that shuts down your inner critic. And when you shut down your inner critic, you can achieve almost anything in this life. So the placeholder goal is what keeps you from giving up when life happens. And I promise you, you can look at the research on New Year's statistics. You know, 80% of people give up on their New Year's resolution by mid-February. Why? Why? Because they got busy at work. There was a family crisis. They got sick. Whatever it was, they had this grandiose goal of exercising 30, 45 minutes a day or meditating, 5, 10 minutes a day. Life happens. Then you fall off you fall out of your habit. And then there's a part of you that's criticizing you, and you're such a loser. You couldn't even do that. We all have that inner critic. I love it when my client's going to say, well, I have this part of me that's negative. I'm like, yeah, we all have the inner critic. Welcome to the club. All of humanity seems to have this. So the placeholder shuts down your inner critic, keeps your momentum going. It keeps you in the habit. It builds the routine till that it is absolutely just drilled into your nervous system. This is what you do. And I can promise you, I have done this for decades now. So, I mean, I get up and I exercise. That's just what I do, and it feels right. I boil my tea water, and when I have my breakfast, I meditate afterwards. And that is just what I do. I also speed write when I'm working on a book, right? That is just what I do. It's in my nervous system. It is so easy. It is effortless to maintain my mental health with healthy habits because I have been using this 5-minute hack with a placeholder. So even when life gets chaotic, crazy, you're overwhelmed, you're stressed, you're sick, you keep the rhythm going. No matter what, you keep the rhythm going. And some days you can expand it to 15, 30 minutes of, maybe your favorite exercise or gratitude, prayer, journaling. You can expand this as much as you want. But if you always keep the 30 to 60 seconds, it is amazing how this becomes automatic, automated. There was a time where I had to put 3 reminders in my phone to remember to meditate. Now I have to turn on a reminder to tell me to stop meditating, because if I don't have a timer telling me to get to work, I will sit there and meditate for 20 minutes where I used to have to barely, going 5 minutes was hard for me. So this is something that you do throughout your life. You dedicate these 5 minutes a day. I've added more because it's so much fun, to keep your mental health on track. And here's the dirty little secret of mental health. The truth is that depression and anxiety are highly treatable. So people talk about, oh, I'm stressed, I'm going through a difficult time. Of course you're anxious. Of course you're depressed. I'm like, no, no, we actually have reliable coping strategies that should keep people from ever getting depressed again, from ever getting back to anxiety. And maybe you fall into that hole. It's very common in teen or young adult years that people experience, anxiety and depression, but learn the skills to get out of that hole and learn how to maintain your mental health for the rest of your life. You need to put your mental health in the same category that hopefully you have your oral health in. Like most of us brush our teeth twice a day and floss, see the dentist twice a year. That's how you maintain it. Your mental health, it should be very simple. You should have a set of daily habits that you use, skills you can rely on when life gets tough, so that you are able to maintain a sense of inner peace, inner calm, maintain your happiness on a regular basis. This really does take maintenance, and you can live a depression-free, anxiety-free life. It is truly achievable. We have the scientific knowledge. It's very clear what we need to do to really live with inner peace, without anxiety and depression, and just a general sense of wellness. So if you are excited with this idea of 5-minute mental health, if you're excited about learning how to maintain your own mental health with or without the help of outside professionals, I invite you to check out my free online course, 5-Minute Mental Health, where I really give you step-by-step instructions to implement what I was talking about here today. So wishing you all the best. And again, you can get that 5-Minute Mental Health mini course for free at dianegehart.com. The link is in the description below. And please subscribe to my channel if you found any of this useful. Bye-bye.